Good evening to you once again, and I will be talking about that how do we prevent complications and take care of our patients starting from the pre-operative period to the intraoperative period and to the post-operative period. And as Dr. JC Das very correctly said, that the problem begins once you have done a TRAB. So till the time you're planning to do a surgery, it's easier, but once you have done a TRAB, you have to manage a number of things, the patient's comfort and the complications. So as glaucoma surgeon, I think all of us are in the pursuit of a nice filtering bleb with good intraocular pressure, which looks something like this. And what our patients want is good vision with minimum medication and a comfortable eye. We all are very well aware of all these complications which we frequently encounter, which could be early post-operative, like the shallow anterior chamber, hypotony, late complications like a failing bleb, infection, and these complications are very commonly seen after trabeculectomy. So a key to long-term successful outcome of trabeculectomy is a very careful preoperative assessment and planning, execution of each step with utmost care, and meticulous early postoperative care and follow-up. So whenever we decide that we are going to operate upon a patient for a filtering surgery, there are a lot of ocular factors that we have to look into. And all of us want a pristine, untouched cornea. But many a time patient has had secondary glaucomas and they have the retinal surgeries have been done, pterygium surgeries have been done, they have prior filters, and all these eyes can have adherent conjunctiva, which leads to a difficult conjunctival dissection and aggressive wound healing. So these are the cases where you would like to use an antimitotic agent. On the other hand, you can have thin and inflamed conjunctiva because of long-term use of anti-glaucoma drugs, and there is a risk of buttonholing in these cases. So before you are taking up the patient for surgery, it's a good idea that you check the mobility of the conjunctiva pre-operative in the OPD, and also on the table that which area you are going to make your filter at. Now, again, ocular surface is very, very important because most of these patients are on long-term anti-glaucoma medication, which can lead to a lot of ocular surface disorder in form of blepharitis, dry eyes, and it's always a good idea to put the patient on drug holiday if possible. You can stop prostaglandin analogs or drugs like pilocarpine or maybe Ripatec, which we have recently started using 1 week before surgery. Put the patient on copious lubricant so that we have a good ocular surface. And sometimes we also like to put the patient on low dose steroids, maybe a week or two prior to surgery to have a better uninflamed ocular surface. Now, again, knowing if the patient is very high myope is very, very important because in high myope patients, you have thin sclera, so you should avoid using anti-metabolite agents. One can go in for Ologen implants, try to go in for thicker flaps. And on the other hand, if you have a hyperope in which you have to do a filtering surgery, you have to be careful that they have higher incidence of shallow anterior chamber postoperatively. More of hypotony is expected, and therefore it's a good idea to atropinize these patients at the end of the surgery and aim for a meticulous conjunctival and the scleral flap closure. Now, again, knowing if the patient is diabetic and what is the systemic status of patient is very important because diabetics, we all know that they have very high level of VEGF, which can lead to aggressive scarring and poor healing, and they are more prone to develop infections also. Now, again, if patient is on anticoagulants, stop the anticoagulants a couple of days before surgery so that the bleeding is minimized and the post-operative suture removal, either in form of laser suturolysis or releasable suture, becomes much more easier. Now, once we have taken the preoperative care and we take the patient into the operation theater, it is very important to have the maximum possible exposure. Almost 8 to 10 millimeters of exposure is what we aim for, so that we have a good area, especially if you are going in for a valve surgery. You can use either a bridle suture or a corneal traction suture, whichever you are comfortable with. But with corneal traction suture, be careful that it should not be a full thickness, it should not enter into the anterior chamber, or it should not have a superficial bite which can lead to cheese wiring, and avoid too big a bite because this can also lead to distortion of the scleral flap. Now, conjunctiva, we all know, is a sacred tissue and it has to be handled very, very carefully. One has to be very gentle with the conjunctiva. Avoid any kind of sharp instruments so that you avoid buttonholing. Use plain serrated instruments whenever possible. One can hold the tenons, which gives you a better exposure, and do a sufficient size peritomy, not too big, not too small. And whenever possible, one should avoid the nasal flaps because they can give rise to more of dysesthesia in the post-operative period. Now, many times you plan to do a tenectomy. I don't prefer to do it. If you have tenons, achieve a good complete dissection of the tenons, because left tenon can interfere with the proper scleral flap dissection and also suture removal in the post-operative phase. And one can always use the tenons to hold, avoiding holding the conjunctiva directly. Now, once you've made the conjunctival flap, there are a lot of bleeders. You can leave them for some time. Many of them stop on their own. Otherwise, you can do a gentle cautery. Don't go in for very aggressive cautery. This can lead to a lot of scleral thinning. Now, anti-metabolite application is very important and has kind of become a routine in glaucoma surgeries. You have to decide the time and the concentration of mitomycin C beforehand. Make the area of application as big as possible, as posterior as possible. Use multiple sponges. Irrigate very nicely at the end of surgery, so end of application, so that you don't have any residual mitomycin. And be careful, it should not enter into the anterior chamber if you are doing a combined surgery. Now, choosing a scleral flap, whether you want to do a triangular or a rectangular, is a personal choice. Avoid too thin or too thick a flap. Now, whenever you are trying to do a sclerostomy, as Dr. Das very clearly mentioned, it is very, very important that at no point in time you should try and lose the anterior chamber. Maintain the anterior chamber, maintain the desired pressure, so that the eye does not become hypotenuse and there is no choroidal effusion on the table. So pre-place a side port, pre-place an apical suture once you have made a scleral flap and before you are doing a sclerostomy. Do not go in for a very small or very big sclerostomy. Using Vanas or Trifine is your choice, and reform the anterior chamber with BSS or viscoelastic if you wish. Now, it's an unsaid rule that the trabeculectomy blebs, which are sealed well, they heal well, and they swell well. So suturing is the most crucial part of trabeculectomy. We should always check for the paracentesis and the traction side for any leak. And once they have been sealed, you should titrate your scleral port, side port, and achieve for a watertight suture closure. Now, conjunctival repair can be done using a running suture in a fornix in a limbus space flap, or interrupted sutures on a fornix based flap. But please repair on all the wound leaks and buttonhole on the surgeon. One can use the fluorescent to check for the leaks. I usually put atropine at the end of my surgery so that you have a relaxed iris at the end of the surgery. Put the patients on steroids, and usually you need to put them on steroids for up to 3 months so that you have less of bleb failures. Again, sutures, you can do a suture removal using laser, or you can put a releasable suture depending on what you are good at. The suture removal can be started from 3 days to 2 weeks in case if you have augmented your trabeculectomy with the anti-metabolite agents. And it's always a good idea to teach our patients about this digital massage, which is a very simple technique which they can be taught 4 times in a day, 5 to seconds each, which can help us to maintain the long-term success rate of trabeculectomy. So at the end, I would like to say that careful pre-planning, tailor-made decisions at every step, meticulous surgical step, each and every step is important, and a diligent post-operative care can lead to a long-term successful trabeculectomy. Thank you so much.